Hey GenderqueerChat, it's Matt. Hey, I've been gone for a little while, I'm very sorry. I think it's been about 6 weeks since I last posted a video, and have been going through a few things in life, and it has been an interesting kind of time, but I just needed some time out, and yeah, I was having some troubles making videos and thinking about the stuff I needed to think about. So yeah, I've had a brief hiatus, and I do apologise for that, but yeah, I'm back. So hopefully I can get back into the swing of things and make this video today, and hopefully I won't disappear on you again. But thanks very much to everyone else on the channel for keeping everything all going, and yeah, I must admit I haven't had the chance to watch many of the videos that people have been posting over the last few weeks, but because amongst other things I haven't had really good internet access, but I promise I will catch up on the videos too and see what everyone else has been up to, and I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, so today is a viewer's choice topic, or this week is a viewer's choice week, and the topic was submitted by somebody who I'm not sure what their name is. I'm just going to read out exactly what they wrote to us. It's sort of a long-winded question or statement, but I'll just read it out and then we'll go from there. I'm just going to put on my old lady glasses so that I can read off my computer properly. So the viewer wrote, "I'm interested in how and why people with the same or very similar experiences of gender can come to identify in different ways. For example, like many of you on the channel, I don't identify with or subscribe to stereotypical gender norms or feel like gender plays a part in defining who I am as a person. However, I identify as male and as a man, for the simple fact that I'm not entirely comfortable being physically male and moving through the world that way. I can understand being drawn to a genderqueer identity if you experience dysphoria or discomfort over being perceived in gendered ways, or for political reasons to do with wanting to dismantle the gender binary. But it feels like there are some people who identify as genderqueer who are neither dysphoric nor politically motivated. In these cases, what draws a person to identify as genderqueer, given that that there are people like myself with very similar experiences who remain identified within the binary?" So this is a really cool question. I haven't really thought about it too much in a great deal, so I'm really just going to just see where this takes me. But I guess in some ways I am one of the people who this viewer is referring to in their email. Or in their question. I don't particularly personally have a lot of gender dysphoria in the traditional sense of I don't feel a great deal of physical discomfort with my male assigned at birth body. I think I've spoken before about these sort of things and where I kind of stand with that, but generally I don't feel a great deal of physical dysphoria. I don't feel like it's strong enough for me to want to make any kind of changes, or that it really prevents me from doing what I want to be doing, or anything in life. Certainly I do feel pretty uncomfortable, like was mentioned in the question, with gendered stereotypes and gender norms, and that's something that probably informs my gender more of the fact that I don't fit in with what's expected of me. So, but it's less of a traditional dysphoria thing, and I don't really have that sense of physical dysphoria that I know a lot of people do experience, or some people do experience. Also, I don't really identify as genderqueer for a political motivation. That was sort of a secondary thing. I think once you start to look into gender, dismantle the binary, identify as genderqueer, it's really hard not to take a sort of political stance on that issue. The very fact that you're identifying as non-binary or challenging that puts you at odds against what society says is the norm. And so while I may not be politically active or necessarily try and educate or inform or fight for those sort of things, identifying as genderqueer and opening my mind to things about gender and sexuality and queer stuff and all that sort of business has certainly given me a different kind of perspective and worldview, and I do look at things, including the political landscape, in a different way to how I did before I started to really deconstruct this whole gender thing. So I certainly didn't identify as genderqueer because of the dysphoria issue. I certainly didn't identify as genderqueer because of a political issue or alignment, but definitely the political stuff has come as a afterthought of identifying as genderqueer, if that makes sense. So why did I identify as genderqueer? Like I said, it has a lot to do with just feeling uncomfortable with societal notions of gender. Like, I've never particularly felt like I fit the stereotypical male image or role. It's not something that I feel comfortable with. It causes me a varying degree of discomfort. Certainly, it hasn't been bad enough that it has forced me to question it seriously for the first 30 odd years of my life. It's only been relatively recently that I've started to unpack gender and identify as genderqueer, as I've talked about before. So definitely that discomfort and disassociation with what it is to be male. But at the same time, it wasn't strong enough or dysphoric enough, if that's the right use of the word, to make me come out or really start to explore gender or really seriously question it, other than kind of fleeting thoughts or just feelings prior to this. So yeah, but I guess that's a really jumbled way of talking about it. I kind of wish I had answered a question from a few weeks ago about spectrums, gender spectrums, continuums, and the gender Gumby question. And I'll probably go back and remake a video for that question, because that was one of the ones that I really wanted to do, and I'm sorry I missed out on that. But I do kind of view gender as along a spectrum or a continuum. I know it's kind of unhelpful in a way to think of it in a binary way of male and female and a lot of space in between. But that's also kind of constructive in the sense that it does show that there's lots of difference. Many, maybe infinite amounts of different genders and different gender expressions and different combinations of male and female, or exclusions of male and female, or completely ignoring male and female along this spectrum or continuum. So really, as I think I've said before, I think other people have said before, you could kind of perceive there as being as many genders as there are people in this world. Like, a lot of people are going to conform to or naturally fit in with the more stereotypical idea of manliness or femaleness, and people are going to have a sort of diversity of experience and expression that for the most part stays within the general confines or flexible space of being male or female. It's only really the people who go that further along the spectrum towards genderqueer territory that sort of face the problems, or I guess start to disassociate or don't associate with the strict confines of male or female. So there's as many genders as there are people, and the viewer's saying and pointing out rightly that there's people with very similar experiences or similar expressions or similar ideas about their gender who experience things in a similar way, but at the same time, like, we're all totally different. So while I generally present as male and carry myself in this world as male, and I generally use male pronouns and don't actively try and change that. But yet I don't feel male, and for me, identifying as male, calling myself a man, is not something that feels appropriate. It doesn't. I'll use it at times when it's appropriate, when it's an easier way of explaining things, but for me, identifying as genderqueer feels more natural for me. So somebody else may look kind of like me or express their gender in a similar way to me, maybe in a way of not particularly bending those gender rules at all, but somebody else may be that slightly more comfortable with the man role or that experience. Do you know what I mean? I think I've just really confused myself there. I get what the viewer's saying, and why would somebody who presents in a similar way to me, or why would I, like me personally, why would I identify as genderqueer or non-binary and sort of want to follow that path or feel that those words mean something to me and identify that way, as opposed to somebody else who may look like me and act like me and bend the rules as much as I do, which isn't very much, but are happy existing within that binary space, happy with being male or female. And yeah, I guess that just comes down to choice. I mean, we all have similarities and similar experiences, but there are as many genders as there is individual people. And yeah, for me personally, while I don't really challenge the maleness in a really active, like physically open way. It's just something that doesn't feel right for me, and identifying as genderqueer does. So it's not politically motivated, it's not particularly motivated by any strong sense of dysphoria or physical discomfort, but it just fits me, and I'm comfortable with that. Wow, I don't even know if I answered the question. I'm out of practice with this. It's been like 6 weeks, so hopefully that kind of did what it was supposed to do. But it was a really cool question and something that's really quite interesting to think about. And I think this channel is a great example. We do have... Everybody on this channel is very different, like different personalities, different expressions, different views on gender, but at the same time there's a few of us who do have some common ground there, some very similar ways, and yeah, it's, I don't know, there are as many genders as days of the week, and some more, and yeah, there's more. I don't know why I said that, that was weird. Cool. Well, before I dig myself a massive hole, I'm going to say goodbye, but thanks for having me back, and I hope this mumble stuff that I've said made some kind of cohesive sense, and I'll see you next week.